The views and opinions expressed in this podcast are those of the individual guests. If you're a sensitive snowflake that may get easily offended, then turn this off immediately. If you want to hear the real truth about the gun culture, then stick around. This is the Armed Citizen Podcast. What is going on, my Ghost Squad? Welcome to the Armed Citizen Podcast. This is episode 109. We are live as always on YouTube and simulcast as always over on GunChannels.com. If you're not familiar with GunChannels.com, it is a pro-gun, pro-2A community started almost next month. I think it'll be 6 years by G-Webs. It was created by gunners for gunners to have discussions just like this. Tonight we got a little special edition. It's been a long time since we've done one, and I figured this would be a hell of a time to do it. And the Ghost and Clover experiment is still alive and well, but you know, I've been busy and he's been busy, so we haven't done as many as we would like, but we thought there's some stuff coming up on both of our calendars and things to start preparing for and things to talk about. So I thought, why not? Let's go ahead and do a Ghost and Clover. So let's bring in the other D-list celebrity of the dynamic duo. What's up, Clove?
How's it going?
And I stressed that D in the dynamic duo. So
yeah.
D-list celebrities.
D with the little squiggly mark and the slash over it.
Yeah, exactly. I remember that was SHOT Show, was it not? If I remember.
Oh, SHOT Show last year, I think.
Yeah, I could remember. I think it was SHOT Show this past year. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But
I think the Gear Report guys christened us as D-list celebrities. So
yeah, they did, and so I know Toby was out there earlier. So if he's out there, he's one of the assholes that did that. So appreciate you very much.
That's okay. Just stare into the curve. It's all good.
That's right. Yeah, we we used to do these quite frequently, but with life takes over, and I've had a tumultuous year to say the least, and you've been busy as hell as well. So we try to do it. We used to try to do it like at least once or twice a month when we first started out, but life, like I said, life takes over. But we wanted to get in here, and we always have some really good talks off air, and I think people might enjoy some of the stuff that we talk about. So I thought we might bring that to the live audience and all that. So guys, if you're out there, please text us any question that you might have for either one of us or both of us to 530-364-4678. I guess we could, if we were brave enough, I guess we could probably take that same phone number. You can call should you choose, and we might put you on air and go from there. So if you want to call the number, we can do that as well. So we'll get some live on air phone calls if you want.
That could get wild.
It could get wild. I trust everybody out there, and I think that they would. Holy shit, the texts are already coming in.
There you go.
Okay, Rich White, right off the bat. Rich White wants to know, are either of one of us going to the DC rally? And I'll answer that first. I had already bought the plane ticket, and I was still waiting to hear from from Medicare. My dad was supposed to come home back from the hospital. If you guys don't know what happened, my dad has had a stroke back in December, and he's been paralyzed since, and doesn't look like anything like that's going to have change. But anyways, we had to send him to the hospital a couple months ago because he had pneumonia, almost lost him, and he's coming home on the 1st. So we petitioned to Medicare to bring him home on the Wednesday prior to the 1st. I guess that would be the 30th, which would have been next Wednesday. And they declined it. They said they would not move him. And if we moved him ourselves, it's going to cost us $2,600 for us to move him ourselves just 2 days early. So they didn't want to move him 2 days early. That being said, he's coming home Friday afternoon, so I will not be able to make it. So unfortunately. Let's see here.
Yeah, my position's not nearly that complicated. So I've been asked that a lot. I get asked that. I literally get asked that multiple times a day. And so my answer is going to be the same. It's going to be the same as it's been for a while. Time, I have tons of. Time is not an issue. Money is an issue. Um, and so never say never is what I've been saying. Look for me there when you see me, because anything can happen between now and like the day before or whatever. You never know. So, um, it's we're just going to see what plays out over the next, what do we got? A week and a half?
A week
Something like that.
3-4 days. Yeah, a week and 4
Roughly
days.
a week and a half or so. Yeah. So we shall see.
Georgia Trucker out there says the Ghost and Clover chats are where I first started really listening. I would listen to my car while my wife was at Walmart. Hey, appreciate it. JB's out there. What's up, John Brown? Clover, we got one in from Jason P. Says, hello, what do you think of the Trigicon MRO? Thank you. I also picked up a Holosun Green Dot. I do have a Holosun, and I'm really, Holosun is one of those kind of mid-market where it's not cheap, but it's not like a Trigicon is going to cost you $500 or whatever. I'm a big fan of Holosun, and I'm actually hopefully going to be doing some work with them in the next year. As far as the Trigicon, I have not worked with it. This is just me, guys. I'm not a really big red dot fan, or not a fan. I don't use them a whole lot. I've got several of them, but I don't use them a whole lot. And that's just me. I'm not going to go spend $500 if I can go get something like a Holosun or a Bushnell. And you can get a Bushnell for a couple $100. There are some items, there are some dots out there that you can get for at least half the price, if not more. Not saying that Trigicon's not great. The glass, I'm sure, is wonderful in it. I'm sure it's a great reticle, but I try not to, if they want to send me one, I'll take one for sure. I just have a tough time spending $500 on something that I could get something that's going to be worthwhile to use that's half the price. I don't know about what you think about that.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's Trigicon's good stuff. I mean, without a doubt. As far as me, I only own one. I own a very old school ACOG that a buddy of mine sold to me for $200. He really needed money to pay a bill, or I don't remember. It was one of them emergency situations, and I wasn't going to pass that up. Would have gave him more, but that's what he asked for, And that's the only reason I own anything Trigicon, honestly, because that situation presented itself and I could afford it. That said, I mean, I've heard good things about Trigicon with their T&E and sending out samples, and even talked with them a little bit when I was tossing around the idea of the doing the youth grants through our Patreon, and they were open to, believe it or not, I mean, they seemed open to the idea of supplying, 3 or 4 or half a dozen or whatever for that grant thing. So, yeah, I don't know. I guess you got to be higher up on the list than a D in order to get attention from them.
That's at least a C list delivery.
But as far as optics, I am not a snob at all when it comes to optics, for sure.
I don't run one very often. I mean, I've got one on. Let's see here. I guess I've got one on all my ARs and all that. So I probably got 6 or 7 of them. But some of them are literally some of the Chinese stuff that was sent to me. The Chinese shit runs and it works. It turns on. It's supposed to turn on. It's got a nice bright red or green dot. For me, I don't hunt, so I'm not looking for something that's going to give me a whole lot of that. I use my ARs and stuff for training and self/home defense truck guns and all of that stuff. So for me, a simple red dot, as long as it's going to work and I can get a nice little sight picture with it, and it's going to hold at 0 and it's going to be solid, with banging and all that. I'm saying, I'm not a snob. I really don't care what brand it is, as long as it works. I don't look at brands a whole lot. Now, obviously, higher price items, typically you get what you pay for. But once again, just because something is less expensive doesn't mean that it is not have value,
Well, and I mean, what's it going to be used for? And that's what I look at. And I mean, the vast majority of my stuff is, quite honestly, is going to be either mild competition or mostly just range toy. And in that capacity, you're you're talking about using it. You have the control to be able to use that in ideal situations all the time. And if you're using something in ideal situations all the time, then the quality and a lot of the other stuff doesn't matter. Now, if you are trekking into the mountains on a hunt, or if you are, I don't know, you work security or, something like that, or, military application, then okay. I mean, I see it. I mean, you need the best, the stuff that's going to hold up under the torture, the stuff that's really, really rugged. I get it. But yeah, for most people just kind of plinking around, yeah, whatever. It'll do the trick.
Yeah. There was a question out there from Dead Horse says, what are you looking forward to most at the next SHOT Show? And I'll let you start first.
Me, I haven't heard of a lot that's going to be coming out, to be quite honest with you.
Yep.
So yeah, I don't know. I mean, we'll see moving forward. If you're talking about, and I don't know if he's talking about like experience wise or item wise, gear wise, or whatever. Gear wise, yeah, too early to really get my wish list together. Usually about the time we they used to anyway. I don't guess they send out the magazines or whatever anymore, but I figure here in the next month or so we'll be starting to put together a list to of different booths and things that have some cool stuff. But looking forward to the experience. SHOT Show's awesome every year. Just the experience, mainly to get to just get to see everybody. I mean, you've kind of got everybody there in one place. That doesn't happen very often. It didn't happen with me at GRPC. Not everybody goes to the NRAM, the NRA stuff. A lot of people shy away from that for one reason or another, and people don't make this show or that show, don't go to, of course, Tulsa and things like that. But SHOT Show is one of them events where you've got the creators, the activists, the writers, on top of the industry people, and then celebrities, pseudo celebrities. And so it's it's just a good time to get to touch base at kind of that one time a year, right, where you kind of got everybody in one place. And it's just it's fun.
Yep. Kingpin sent a text in. It says, "Goes Clover, thanks for all the great shows. What are your goals for the next SHOT Show this year? Make more contacts or focus on solidifying the contacts you've already made? Any other goals would be cool to hear about. Thanks, Kingpin." Yes.
C to D, baby. C to D, or D to C. I mean,
we only talk to D-list celebrities, so it's a small group, but we're very passionate. Now, as far as contacts, yeah, I mean, I got Max P for Clover, but I had a great SHOT Show 2019 and really solidified a lot of contacts there, and really kind of galvanized them at NRAM. But yeah, I was planning on a big year of training this year, but with the family issues and all that, I was kind of held back. I'm really trying to make a push to get more training in next year. So, talking to some of the guys, and I know a lot of the guys that are doing the training are going to be there. As far as my new contacts, I mean, yeah, I'm always looking to find new contacts. I don't have any like in my mind that said I've got to go do this. It's if I've learned, and I've only been there twice, but I've learned very quickly, you have to be very fluid at SHOT Show. If you go with the set agenda and Tuesday's the first day, by Tuesday at 10 o'clock, that agenda, you might as well just shred it. And I think Clover will agree with me that if you're out there looking for something, you're not going to find it. It's what you're not looking at. What you're not expecting. We both made a great deal many contacts outside smoking last year at SHOT Show during our little smoke break. So I'm not going to try to go and force myself into some contacts. It's the greatest thing about this is every year you get to learn and meet more people. So they just kind of happen, and they know someone, and hey, I need for you to hook up with this guy. I need you to hook up with this company and all that stuff. So if you try to stay fluid, at least, my short experience, I'm not trying to act like I'm a SHOT Show expert by any means, but the fluidity of SHOT Show is a must for sure.
Yeah, there's something about, and I'm sure there's probably other avenues other than the smoking area. There's probably other what hobbies, similarities. I don't know how to put it right, but there's probably other things going on where the same type of thing, maybe hanging around the food court, or something like that. There's probably obviously going to the parties and hanging out in the bar and doing some stuff like that. Um, that create that relaxed situation where you just get to talking, and that's where rather than people are in the booze and they've got their spiel set up, and that's what they're there for, is to deliver that, to really work on the money side of thing and wheeling and dealing and stuff like that. So if you can have that regular conversation outside of that environment, which is probably stressful for the most part on those people. I mean, they're working that event. You got to realize that. Yeah, for me, yeah, got to stay fluid, and plans are going to change. Both years for me, I had my plan. I mean, you make a plan going in, you kind of have to. This is a rough idea. I'm going to do this these days, and I got to meet with these people. And I had my list is always tiered, right? It's like, okay, I've got to get with these people. I need to get with these, I need to get with these people, just absolutely have to. I want to get with these people. And then if I have time, we got these down here. But what's strange is every night, I would get back to the hotel, and that changes because you've met new people, or somebody has said, hey, you need to go over here, or somebody has said, hey, I got you set up to meet with this guy, whatever, And so, or something that's come across your radar. You're out there smoking, or you're talking to people, you're in the meeting room, and they're like, hey, have you seen this company, or this item, or whatever? And so, you go through your list and you reorganize everything, and you go the second day with that list, and then the third day is different, and the fourth. It's just, it's a progression. What can I say?
That that is one word to use for it, is progression. There's a really good question there by Melanut. Know anything about the LaRue 2-stage triggers? Yeah, I've got a straight bow on one of my core ARs. And I mean, I want to say I got about a year or so ago. I want to say like $79, roughly around, let's say $80. I think is around what it was. I like it, and that was the first. I felt a Hyperfire straight trigger, and I've always kind of light curved triggers, but I like the Hyperfire straight trigger. And a buddy of mine has a LaRue, and it's a straight trigger, so I pulled it a couple of times, and I really liked it, so I went and got one. I put it on my core, one of my ARs, and I really like it. I mean, don't get me lying, I want to say it's probably like maybe, I don't know, around 5 pounds, and then the second stage is probably around like 3, roughly, maybe a little bit lighter. I really like them. If you like 2-stage triggers, some people do, some people don't. I have no problem with it. I like it. It's very accurate, and I do like the straight bow. I have not shot any of their curved bow, but I do have a straight bow on my core, and I like it so far. Clover, do you have anything with any? Sorry, goodness gracious, do you have any experience with LaRue?
With LaRue, no, not with the triggers. No, not that I'm aware of, anyway.
Right.
I've probably I've probably shot something with a LaRue trigger, at some point. I probably have, but I don't remember it. I'm also not a trigger snob, but I'm not a snob with a lot of things. But yeah, most of my ARs are, standard, either standard trigger groups with some filing and polishing and stuff like that, and then maybe on a couple of other ones a little bit of spring work done. Pretty much myself. And I don't know. I mean, that does what I needed to do. So,
yeah. Someone was saying out there about the LaRue that the MTBs are the best. I think mine's an MTB2. Don't quote me on that, but I think that's what it was. But yeah, I enjoyed mine. And like I said, I'm not a snob. There's some Geisley stuff out there, and I know, Kevin's out there to want Geisley, and obviously that shit's pretty legit. But Hyperfire, I really love Hyperfire, and they've got some really cool, $100 triggers all the way up to the $300 ultra, competitive 3-gun guy and all that. But Hyperfire, LaRue, seems he's got some good stuff out there. I mean, there's a lot of good companies making really good products that are not going to break the bank. Once again, we're going to get back to the same thing we were talking with optics. Is obviously you're going to get what you pay for sometimes, but don't discount something because it is less expensive. Is a Trijicon awesome? Yes. Is a Holosun very, very good at half the price? Yes. Is Bushnell very, very good at half the price? Yes. Is it going to be the same? Probably not. But is it, unless you plan on using it for, Mel, I don't know what you're planning on. He says $94 ship for LaRue currently. Yeah, that's I think mine was around 80-ish. So that sounds about right. And it might have been after shipping, it might have been, but anyways, what I'm saying is don't just take a price and say it's trash or this is the best, because there are some lower end as far as price goes products that are better than their high price counterparts. So always remember that as well. It's going to be really what feels good to you, especially with a trigger. What are you going to be using it for? Is it going to be for hunting? Is it going to be for self-defense? Is it going to be for training? Is it going to be for competition? If a trigger feels good to you and you like it, who cares what it costs? If it's going to do what you want to do and you're positive it's continue to run solid for you, then that $94 trigger versus a $250 trigger from somewhere else, that's just me. DJ Play Nice says, need a referral for a gunsmith in Milwaukee.
Somebody in the chat.
Help him. No idea.
Somebody in the chat, maybe. Help him.
Somebody in the chat who knows someone in Milwaukee, help a brother out.
No clue. You need to ship it. I know if you're okay with shipping it. I know a few, so we can talk about that. But yeah.
Let's see here. I mean, DJ, if you are willing to ship it, put something out in the chat, and we'll let Clover tell you where you might be able to ship it and get some good solid work done. Revolutionary Hippies out there. I love that name.
Yeah.
Oh, Mel, that's right. Mel is in Milwaukee. So he says what you need. DJ is looking for a really good gunsmith.
There you go.
In Milwaukee. So Mel the Nut, I forgot Mel is up in Milwaukee. So that's perfect. But Revolutionary Hippie says, so the ATF has no authority on bump stocks. Does that mean we can all go and get bump stocks again? Here's the thing, guys, and this is an analogy that was used a couple nights ago on a different show. Hell, it might have been last night, and I don't remember. But someone was talking about carrying and not going to the rally because you can't carry in DC. And I'll say this: laws are out there, and regulations are out there. And it's up to you to interpret that, and it's up to you to make your own personal decision on how you feel. As far as me, I'm not going to tell you to go do anything. If you want to go get a bump stock, then go get a bump stock. It's none of my business.
Same way as if you want to smoke. Same way if you want to sit around the house and smoke weed. I don't care.
Yeah, you do you, bro. You do you. You
whether it's legal in your state or not, get after it. I don't care.
Yeah, I mean, you got to make that personal decision. I'm never going to tell someone they should go do something. You can ask me what I would do. That's a different thing. But if you're going to ask me to tell you what I think you should do, you got to be your own man. Let's see. I'm trying to go back through here. I hope I'm not missing a whole lot.
So I think Georgia Trucker had one up there.
Okay. Oh, here we go about NRAM.
Yeah.
All right. Are you guys still going NRAM? I was going to try to go up there, but the DC rally is more important to me and can't afford both. Well, I mean, you have the rally in November, and the NRAM is not until late April. So that's going to give you 5 months possibly to save money. I mean, I guess if you're going to choose between the two, and I'll let Clover, I'll give you 2 cents on this as well after this, but if you had to do the two, once again, I can't tell you what to do. If going to the rally and being part of that movement and that energy and that vibe is more important, then go. If going to NRAM and being around the industry and all the people and the energy. It's a different energy. But it depends on what you want to do. You want to look at the guns and be part of that, or do you want to go be part of the energy of the rally? I think that if you have an opportunity to go to both, obviously do. But once again, man, I don't believe in telling people what they should do. That's a personal thing. I would try to do both if you could.
Yep. Well, I mean, if it was a situation to where they were both on November 2nd, I would go to neither right now. So that's that's the way it's looking anyway. If they were both in April, that's a tough one. I don't know. I lean toward probably, especially after GRPC, I lean to probably the rally. Because I think connections and other things, I think, can primarily be made through SHOT Show, and I'm not real sure how NRAM is going to play out for this next year moving forward anyway. But I'm going to throw a kink into that question because we've got Gunathon now.
That's true.
On the radar, right? And we've got Tulsa as well. So you've got like Tulsa, NRA, and Gunathon, like all right there.
Back weeks, yeah.
Yep. So it's an even tougher decision for some people, I guess, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. Let's see here. FNH says he's got to go. Thanks for dropping in, bud. Midnight Rain says Ghost had to believe the show that was talking about carrying in DC was the fantastic media extravaganza known as the Shit Starter. I don't know. It must be some weird show that the chef does. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Georgia Trucker says I was thinking NRAM was in November. I changed my mind. NRAM is April. Hold on, I can actually get you the exact dates. NRAM 2020 is going to be in Nashville, Tennessee next year.
Third weekend, I think, of April, maybe.
Yeah, I want to say it's the 17th, 18th, and 19th of April, and then the next Saturday after that is Gunathon, which is a GOA thing in Virginia, and then Tulsa is going to be that second weekend in April. So April's gonna be busy, but yeah, I mean, yes, NRAM is in April. It's not in November. So hopefully you can make both. I really enjoy NRAM and SHOT Show, the industry stuff, and I there's a part of me, I love SHOT Show, and SHOT Show is so much fun. It's hectic and it's crazy, but I love it. NRAM is, I like the vibe of NRAM a little bit. I should say that. I love the energy at SHOT Show, but I like the way the NRAM is because it's a little more relaxed. It's a little smaller, and you get to see more people and all of that sometimes. But next year in Nashville should be pretty fun.
Well, the NRAM, there's something for me at NRAM that I don't really get at SHOT Show, because you deal with some of these competitive youth shooters and stuff, right? And SHOT Show has an age limit. Yeah. So I don't get to meet up with the younger ones and stuff like, at SHOT Show like I do at NRAM, because that's open to everybody. So, and then, yeah, everybody knows it's, of course, more laid back. Now, there's some people, I've heard some chatter anyway. We'll see moving forward. April's still a long way away, but of some companies kind of jumping ship on NRAM being so close and actually doing their stuff at Gunathon. So you've got because there you're going to have like the range day, out there as well. And so it's almost, I guess kind of looks like a mini SHOT Show, but there's also going to be speakers and some other things going on there.
Yeah.
It'll depend too. I think my decision as we get closer is going to depend on, do people jump ship and go over to Gunathon? And if they do, who goes? Is it some of the companies that I'm dealing with? If it's a vast majority of them, and I can kill more birds with one stone, so to speak, then
sure,
I may opt for Gunathon over NRAM.
And I understand from what I understand that Gunathon's going to be, it's like SHOT Show and all that, but I think it's going to be more like range day. and speakers. I think it's going to be a range day. There are going to be some booze and all that, but I think it's going to be more, from what I understand, it could be like more like a range day. And then they have like this big clubhouse at the range that there's going to be upwards of like 1,000. Did I hear it's like 1,000? It could hold 1,000 people if they cram in there or something. Yeah, so it'll be interesting, and I'm really looking forward to going to Gunathon. It's going to be really interesting to see what happens next year with NRAM, with all that is going down with the NRA. Does the NRA have the exhibit side of the annual meetings? I think they're going to have the annual meetings in Nashville, but do they have the exhibit side of it? Do companies jump ship and do something else like Gunathon and all of that? It's going to be really interesting, and we're not going to know that until after probably SHOT Show. And I think that the good thing is we'll be able to find that information out while at SHOT Show, because most of the companies, I should say, they're going to know what they're doing by then, by January. So we'll be able to find out what they're doing. I think that's what you're saying, is if there are companies that, if the majority of the companies that I'm dealing with and you're dealing with and have relationships with are going to be at Gunathon instead of NRAM, well, that kind of answers it for me,
Yep, exactly.
Let's see here. There was, hey, what's up, Skips out there? Avery, go check out Tactical Solutions. Let's see here. Did I miss anything?
I don't think so. I've kind of been watching.
Yeah,
I haven't seen anything. Not seen anything question wise anyway. And people aren't tagging if they are. So
right.
I don't think you mentioned that, but yeah, tag at Goes Tactical. They're at CloverTac. Make sure we get it seen, or super chat it if you are so inclined.
Super chat it if you really want to.
If you want to give 40% to YouTube, then super chat it.
But yeah, you can text your questions, and that'll, if you want to text them, I'll definitely get those done. And hell, if you want to call, we'll put you in hot live on the air, and I think I can trust my homies out there to know that if they call, we'll put them on air live. That I can trust them. If not, then I'll just hang up real quick. It doesn't bother me. But if you want to call your question in, go ahead. And the cool thing is I do that about once a month or so. I'll do a 2 or 3 hour. So CloverTac, I tagged you. Yeah, I saw you there, Peanut Boy. But no, I about once a month for the podcast, I'll do like a 2 or 3 hour window, and I've got a couple hours, and I'll take live calls, and I did it a couple days ago, and for about 2 hours, and got some really interesting calls. Toby called in, and we talked for a little while, but I got about 5 or 6 other people that had called. And the interesting thing is I put the call-in announcement in some of the gun control debate groups and forums that I keep track in. And so you always, every now and then, you don't get very many, but every now and then you'll get someone who is on the other side and wants to express their opinion, which is great because that's what the discussion is. So I had one the other day, and it ended up being a really cool conversation, so that'll be on a podcast here coming up soon. Let's see here. Ghost Toby says, Ghost, are you going to take any of the Jaeger's classes next year? Yes, I've already talked to James. I am going to do fighting rifle, and I'm going to do his medical class. I'm really looking forward to that, because I asked him, I said, look, I want to take 2 or 3 classes next year. Which ones? And he said, well, you've already done, fighting pistol, do fighting rifle. And he says, if I could tell you to do one more, it would be the medical class. So I'm really looking forward to doing the medical class with Jaeger. So that's my plan. Cool. What about you, Clover? You plan on doing any training next year?
You know what? I haven't. Yeah, I mean, James has invited me, of course, but I'm not going to go to Tennessee. And right. So he does some stuff. He does. I'm scrolling through the schedule now. I did that whenever that question popped up when you were reading it, because I thought, well, I wonder what's on the schedule for Texas, and I'm down to, that's just March, I guess, next year. So I'm down to about March, and so far there ain't no Texas. There's some Pennsylvania and Tennessee. I see. Still no Texas. There's an Idaho. Yeah, that ain't gonna work. So I don't know. I see nothing on the schedule for 2020 out of Texas. But when when I met up with
He
him,
goes twice a year. He loves going down there, so I know he
well,
will.
he cornered me in, or I bumped into him. I'm not going to say he cornered me, but I bumped into him at Interim, and we talked for a little bit. And he asked why I hadn't done anything, and I told him, I said, "Dude, I'm gonna have to do Texas," and I said there hadn't been nothing, and he was like, "Well, yeah, I'm not gonna tell you verbatim what he said because he's a little rough with his language, but he basically said yes, there was, and that it's not always on the website." So,
Yeah, I want to see Bass Strip. I want to see he goes to Bass Strip.
Yeah, he does it down in Bass Strip. So, what I need to do probably is after the first of the year or something, shoot him an email or something and just say, hey, is any, just kind of touch base every now and then and see if something gets put on the schedule, because I probably would go, being in Texas and all that stuff. I probably would go. Training, I don't care a whole lot about it, but I'd go for the experience.
Yeah. Skip out there, she wants to know, what's a question that you all get a lot from new shooters or someone looking to exercise their 2A rights? So what I'm going to do is break that into two separate questions, because I think that it's important to answer both of them. The first one, and I'll start with the new shooter. A lot of the times, it's not necessarily questions they have. I think that most of the new shooters that I come in contact with are more scared. They're apprehensive. They've never been around handguns. They're scared. They're afraid of hurting themselves or hurting others. And I think the biggest question that you have to ask them is, are you going to live your entire life scared, or do you want to break down those barriers? And if you try to make it fun while you get, some cantaloupes or, apples or tomatoes or something that's going to blow up, you can get for real cheap at the grocery store, try to make it fun and teach them the safe way. For me, a lot of it is really not the questions about being a new shooter. It's trying to help them break down the fear. I'll be at the range and the guy will be shooting next to me and I see his girlfriend or his kid or something, and they're sitting back on the bench with their ears and eyes on, but they're not even attempting to get up there and learn. And I'll just kind of walk over and say, hey, you ever shot a gun? They're like, no. I'm a little nervous about it. I don't know if I want to do this or not. And I think that's, for me, that's the biggest thing that I do with new shooters is that apprehension. What about you?
As far as questions, new shooters, it depends on, I guess, if you break it down between kids and adults, but we're probably talking about adults here. But there's a couple things. As far as questions, they seem to always ask me what I think about this gun or that gun. And most often it is the most talked about, advertised, whatever. It would be like nowadays, people would walk up and ask me about the Hellcat from Springfield Armory, literally, with all the PR and the other stuff they've done on that, right? And they've got this perception that everybody is talking about it, so it must be the most awesome thing since sliced bread. And so you got to walk them back and go, whoa, wait. First of all, understand that this advertising. It's the same way as selling hamburgers or movie tickets or whatever. It's all in the hype and the promotion. So you got to be able to weed through that. So I deal with a lot of that type of stuff for sure. And tell them about manufacturers they've never heard of, that are SAR USA, for example, which is, Canic is another one, things that are reasonably priced, and are good, good solid firearms for the money. And then the second thing, which is not really necessarily a question that they have, but something that I find myself doing often, and I'm sure people out there know exactly what I'm talking about, and they're going to be shaking their, nodding their head with me, is dispelling the crap that big box store counter people have told them. I do not know where these big box stores hire their employees to put behind the counters but the vast majority of them suck. They're opinionated and they're not diverse in what they know. And they really push those opinions on other people rather than we always talk about planting that seed, right? Instead of planting that seed. So, I deal with a lot of those myths and misconceptions.
Yeah. Sorry, here I'm typing.
But yeah, the 2A question was the next part of that.
Yeah, go for it. You kick it the 2A, and I'll finish that one off.
The 2A question comes from people that are on the fence and probably mostly anti-gun, to be honest. I don't people that are aligned with me politically as far as 2A stuff or more so right leaning on the 2A stuff than me typically don't ask 2A questions of me. It's usually it's what everybody asks. It's like, we've got to do something. What can we do? What can we do? What can we do? And you got to walk that back and go, well, do we really need to do anything? Because it's kind of like the gun counter argument, right? Or the argument or the question, and that's why I let off with that. But the question of, hey, this, whatever thing, what is your opinion on it, right? Well, you've got to weed through all the crap with that. And with what can we do is the same thing. You've got to read through all the crap. You've got to look at the crux of the matter, at the meat of the matter. And when you look at violence, when you look at crime, when you look at, to use their words specifically, gun crime, it's not going up. It's been on the decline forever. Yep. So, if you're talking about AWBs and stuff like that, then you're talking about minute percentages of lives lost to stuff like that. Why are we focused on that? Why are we not focused on curing cancer? Why are we not focused on curing heart disease? Why are we not focused on, and some of us are like Mike and the guys with Walk Talk America and Sarah and Genevieve with HomeGuns.org. Why are we not focused on the mental health, the suicide, side of things? Why are we not focused on things that would drastically, there's big numbers, right, that we can affect. Why are we focused on a 3%, 2 or 3%? Why don't we focus on tens of percents, and things like that, stuff that we could actually do little things and it make a difference.
Yeah. For me, when people are starting to become I remember when I became quote unquote enlightened with the 2A, I wasn't always a big 2A person. I was more enthralled into my own personal experience. I love the training. I've trained since I was 19 years old, and I love that side of training. I love the tactical movements, and that's probably because of my military background. But I enjoy close quarter stuff. I enjoy the CCW. I enjoy the training aspect of it. So for the longest time, for me, it was all about competition, which I shot IDPA for a long time, and then training. And so the outside, not that I was ignorant of the 2A, it just wasn't my focus. So I remember and G and all the people over at GunChannels and all of that, they really helped me kind of open my mind to more 2A stuff and understanding why it's so important. I've always been very much a constitutionalist. I've always really felt deeply about what our founding fathers wanted for our company, what they envisioned for our country. And I've always respected that, but I would never really kind of was one of those that, I didn't take it for granted necessarily, but I wasn't that vocal person about understanding that these could go away. Until a few years back. And so for me, I think when someone is, and I'll take it from my own personal experience, you can do one of two things: either dive head in and educate yourself as much as you can on every single bill out there and every single thing that's going on at the state and the local and the national level about the 2A stuff, or sit back and watch, go to some rallies, surround yourself and go listen to what people say and talk and teach about 2A rights and how it affects different parts of your life and how it affects all the other amendments. These red flag laws, it's not just a 2A thing. It's a First Amendment, it's a Second Amendment, it's a Fourth Amendment, it's a Fifth Amendment. I mean, there's all these things that if you're not ready to just dive straight into being an activist, but you want to start kind of getting your feet wet, go to some rallies, listen to other people talk, read up on GOA, on FPC, on SAF, and I mean, hell, even NRA, read up on all this stuff and understand what bills are out there. At least familiarize yourself with it, and you'll know when it's time to take that next step into getting involved. That's what I would say, is either go slowly or just go all in. There's really no middle ground there.
Well, but be sure too that, when you're doing, and this goes to say with anything. I mean, whether you're talking 2A, whether you're talking buying your first gun, where you're talking, your washing machine's broken down and you've got to go buy a new one. Look at multiple sources. I mean, do your due diligence, do your homework, compare things, actively seek, actively seek out anti-gun content and stuff, and read that too. Because even in a lot of the anti-gun this is what aggravates me about the Pro 2A side of things, especially larger channels and larger outlets, right? They really gloss over the kernel of truth that the anti-gunners use, because that's what they do. They take a kernel of truth and then they wrap it in a bunch of BS and they bake it up and they try to force us to eat it, basically. But what a lot of the Pro 2A side does is they attack all the BS and they completely ignore the kernel of truth. You know what I mean? And when you do that, there's no conversation, there's no dialogue going on. It's one side barking at the other side is all that is. And it's like, let's have a conversation about that kernel of truth, right? Regardless of whether you're left or right of the issue, let's talk about this particular thing. We can sugarcoat it and wrap it up and do whatever we want with it, but that doesn't take care of the issue.
Yeah. And I think a lot of it comes down to, and everybody's different when it comes to 2A stuff, is, once again, it comes down to what you want out of it. Do you want to help out and be the person in a support level position in the activism where, hey, I really can't do a whole lot with time and all that, but I can donate money or I can donate, supplies or whatever? Or do you want to be that person that's up on stage giving that speech? Everyone's got their own wants out of this. Everyone has their own way of doing it. Some people are not good public speakers at all, but they're extremely organized, or they're very good with artistic things. They can make signs and flyers. So everyone has a good ability that could help the fight. And I think really what it comes down to is finding your kind of groove and finding a group of people that are similarly minded, personalities, they mesh. I mean, you can be the most diehard 2A person, but be extremely laid back. Not every diehard 2A guy is from my cold dead hands and screaming, howling at the moon. There are some people that are extremely laid back, but they're very intense about it, So just find a group of people that you get along with. They're all moving towards the same goal. But I think where it all starts, and you and I both preach this a lot, but, start at your local area. With your sheriff or your local gun club or your local gun shop. I mean, start locally. Don't try to jump in. If your first thing that you're going to do is try to organize a national 2A rally in DC, that's nuts. Start locally. Start having conversations at church or at the grocery store or something like that, and start slowly. Get your feet wet, find your groove, and then move on from there. So.
Lever Guns 50 out there, and I'm taking this to heart because I'm guilty of this. I've done it in this show already, I think more than once. He says, I think a lot of the YouTube gun community turns off the average Joe because we use acronyms that they have no idea what we're talking about. And earlier I said AWB. For those that don't know, that means assault weapons ban. Right. And the reason I say, I want to say this, the reason that I use acronyms, a lot is I'm thinking about YouTube algorithms and buzzwords and other things. And if I say AWB, it doesn't have the word assault in it or weapon in it. And so that's a lot safer algorithmically. And I know I'm getting nerdy here on Ghost of Show, but it's just safer. But I caught myself doing that too, and I had to stop when I was talking about Gun Rights Policy Conference. I would throw it out there and I would say GRPC. Well, most of it, they don't know what GRPC is, and I had to kind of train myself, depending on who I was talking to say Gun Rights Policy Conference, because that's self-explanatory. And another thing to that point as well is I posted something on Facebook about the DC rally, and I'm like, 2A rally in DC November 2nd. I had somebody, I kid you not, said, "What's a 2A rally?"
Yeah.
If I had put Second Amendment rally, they probably would have got it. But 2A rally, they had no clue what I was talking about.
Yeah. No, for sure. And yeah, well, I mean, I guess we all do that. I use acronyms a lot in the Marine Corps. There are our whole being is breaking stuff into acronyms because there are so many things that are 4 or 5 word titles, and you're just like, so I mean, I'm not very smart, and so I have to I can deal with 5 letters much easier than 5 words. And a lot of time, I'm not gonna lie, I don't know what he's talking about either. Like I said, I'm a very simple-minded person. I eat crayons for lunch. I lick the windows on the bus, and sometimes, yes, they made me wear a helmet. So it is what it is.
I'm going to add to Mel the Nut. He says 2A because an AWB could cause a. Let's see. Let me rephrase this. He says 2A because an AWB could go FUBAR and cause a SHTF situation where we are SOL.
That's correct.
I had to add FUBAR in there, but yeah.
Yes. One of the greatest comedian or comical movies ever, in my opinion, is Good Morning Vietnam. Just for the simple fact that 95% of Robin Williams, there was no script. When he was doing his DJ stuff, they said, just go with it and do what you want to do. But he used them a lot, and he was talking about Nixon being there. And so you had, POTUS, and they had the VP, the VIP, and it was a great thing. But yeah, I mean, I go check out that.
He was always at his best off the cuff.
Absolutely. And
he had just one of those minds. Yeah.
Yeah. The one of the best ones I ever saw was Carson. And this was probably early 80s, right after he hit Mork and Mindy pretty big. And he had Robin Williams on. I think Jonathan Winters was on there as well. So you had 3 of the quickest, most brilliant, and most smart ass comedians that's ever walked the earth are on the stage together. And if you ever get a chance, go, not now, damn it, but later, go YouTube Robin Williams, Johnny Carson, Jonathan Winter. And it is a 10 minutes that you can't help but laugh, because they were all geniuses, but they were all so quick, and they ad-libbed everything. That's what, people don't realize that Robin Williams went to Juilliard, and he was very classically trained. And you talk to people at Juilliard, and they'll tell you that they knew right away that this guy's a little different, in a good way and a bad way, but whatever it was, he was different than anybody else that was out there. And he could do, you take the roles such as Dead Poet Society. You take roles that he played in, what's the one with Matt Damon and Ben Affleck? Good Will Hunting. You take some of the stuff that he did that were just complete serious roles. And Robin Williams was as good as an actor as there was. I don't know how the hell we got down this one, but I was a huge fan of Robin Williams. Absolutely. Sorry about that.
Good morning, Vietnam. So
that's where I was. The 7 degrees of Robin Williams.
We got on the movie chat. I've been waiting on the movie chat.
Yeah. Any good movies you got coming out that you want to see?
Well, I'll tell you something. I've seen something awesome today. I don't know if anybody else has seen the trailer, the 2.5, 3 minute trailer for Rise of Skywalker.
Yep.
But I watched it earlier, and that double bladed lightsaber that folds out into a staff is the most awesome freaking thing I've ever seen in my life. I've got to find a light up replica. I've got the blue Anakin. Was it the blue Anakin? Yeah, the blue Anakin, because it's a Darth Vader hilt with the blue whatever plasma. What do you call it?
Before seeing that, the coolest lightsaber I ever saw was Darth Maul's.
This is like Darth Maul's, but it hinges as well in the middle.
Yeah.
So you've got like a double regular lightsaber. It's like doubled, or you flip it out and it makes a staff.
Ooh.
Yeah,
Man.
it was cool.
Yeah, they I know that it's not a movie thing. But next week, I think November 1st or 2nd. I want to say that maybe the 3rd on the Sunday. I'm not sure. But if you're a Jack Ryan fan, the second season of Jack Ryan comes out first weekend in November. And if you haven't watched the first season of it, it's on Amazon Prime, and it's John Krasinski, which I love John Krasinski from the old Office, and he's been in so many good things, but he plays Jack Ryan. And I'm going to tell you what, he is phenomenal as Jack Ryan. So if you haven't yet, go watch the first season of Jack Ryan, because the second season starts next weekend, and you will like it a lot. I promise you. It's great action. And it starts as Jack Ryan first getting into the CIA, and it takes it up and beyond that, but it's really, really great. But I'm looking forward to that next week. Have you heard about The Watchmen?
No, I don't guess I am. Not a big
It's
Watchmen
on
fan.
HBO, and I guess I apparently it's like a little comic or something.
Yeah, I've never been a big Watchmen fan. So.
I've never read it, but I watched the first episode, and Regina King is pretty badass in it. I'm just going to say that.
Now, I did see some previews on Titans.
Okay.
Now I don't even know where that airs. Somebody in the chat or out there or whatever, or comment or email me, let me know. But like Teen Titans, it's like DC superheroes.
Okay, yeah.
And so I've seen some previews of that, but I don't know how to watch it. I think that's like a whole other freaking channel you have to like buy on the internet or something. It's weird. It's like the DC channel from what I was getting or something. I don't know. So we need to get off all the movie chat, because this is not a Never Enough Ammo show. But
that's right. I want to bring up Mel the Nut. He says, "No, Jack Ryan, if you read the books, the series is unwatchable." I can't read. So, I will say one more movie that I'm looking forward to see is, I hope it's not a lot like Pearl Harbor. I'm looking forward to see Midway.
Yeah.
That looks pretty good. I just hope they don't screw it up and try to make it too Hollywood. If they make it more about the battle, I'm all in. Avery's skipping out, so no pun intended, but Avery is skipping out. She's just gonna go. So and Clover, she's about to send you a message.
Really? Text or email, or
I don't know.
She stole my podcast. So go over there to the Skip Tactical channel. You can the podcast I did with her, it's been a while ago now. It may have been a few months back or something like that. But yeah, I noticed she uploaded it to her channel the other day. So, but that's okay. You got two places to watch it now, or listen to it rather. So, yeah.
That's right. Let's kind of talk a little bit real quick about Wanamaker coming up. We talked about the 2A rally. Wanamaker is coming up in the 9th and 10th of November in Tulsa, and we're all going to be there. A bunch of us are going to be there. I think there's maybe 7 or 8 or 9 of us going to be there. But what are you looking forward to Wanamaker this year? You got anything special?
Oh man, there's so much. I think just seeing everybody and hanging out, I think is going to be awesome. We've got a house, so that environment
from the expo, which is even better.
Yeah, that environment is usually kind of cool. Probably hang out there, cook something, and all of that. I mean, it's something about the whole, not to put it in old school language, but something about the whole breaking bread thing, right?
Yeah.
I said breaking bread, not breaking bad. Breaking bread.
Yeah, we will be making meth.
We're not cooking meth. Yeah, plenty of that in Tulsa. We don't got to add to it, but we've got having the house. I think will be cool because I've got Mark from Humorex that we're going to do the live version of the podcast on location in Tulsa with Mark from Humorex, hopefully.
And then Wanamaker from the show or from the house? I
don't know if we're going to do it at the house or go over to the parking lot of the expo and do it. But either way, we'll be in Tulsa, so that can kind of be cool. We'll be kind of be there together, which would be neat. And all of us, the rest of us will kind of be, hopefully we can all kind of gather around for that, for questions or whatever, you know what I mean? That'd be kind of cool. Because on here, I mean, we're restricted to 6 people or, you know, however many with the chamber and, you know, internet connections and getting links and having time. But there, we're all going to be there. So why can't we all just pull up chairs into like a circle, flip on the camera live, have Mark sitting there, and we can all ask questions, you know, or whatever.
Yeah, I think as of right now, that's confirmed. There might be more coming that we just don't know about. But if you're going out there, let us know. But me, Clover, that guy's wife, you have Gizzard Gary, Obnoxious One, you've got Sarge, you've got
Calaveras.
Calaveras is bringing some family members as well, all the way from California. Obviously, Snob and Snob's wife, they live in Tulsa, but they won't be at the house, but they'll be probably at the house.
G-Webs, possibly.
G, I hope is going to be coming.
And Mr. Wright, usually Mr. Wright makes it.
He usually does, and sometimes you'll see Foos come up for a day, and obviously P226 Nut lives in Tulsa as well, so he'll be a hanging out.
Mark from Fit and Fire may be there.
Oh, Mark is? Nice. Okay.
Yeah, he had said he was, and then he said that you know, there was some. I'm not going to give it away, but he said that there was some issues going on, and he didn't know if he was going to be able to or not, but still kind of up in the air. So I mean, he may be there, which is kind of cool.
But
Hickok's usually there, but of course he don't hang around with us.
I mean, yeah, whatever.
He's not good enough, so it's okay.
No, he's too busy guarding the rest.
Yeah, right. Right. But yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to the show. I mean, I'm looking to not only those things, but at the show itself. I mean, hooking up with the different companies and different people there that I know. It's not just companies like my antique ammo guy, Dwayne. He's pretty awesome and all that kind of stuff. And then hopefully look for some stuff. I've got a revolver I'm looking for some parts for. Always interested in some infields that I don't have. If I can keep Cycle Camp won't be there this time around, doesn't look like. So no, that's one less person to steal my thunder on the infields. But now if I could maybe I can get Mr. Wright to go on the lookout for him. He seems pretty good about being able to find stuff like that. So if he's there, I may put him on infield duty for me.
I just got a text from someone I'm going to break the internet real quick, but someone just sent me a text says, "I see you." And I just said, "Yep." So whoever that is,
probably Ghostface or something, I would think.
Probably Ghostface.
They don't do the phone ringing anymore. He doesn't do that anymore because it's all tech now. It's all smartphone.
If he starts asking what my favorite scary movie is, we're gonna have some fun.
It's not Scream. I'll tell you that much.
That's right. Yeah, I'm looking forward to Tulsa for a couple of different things. I am obviously there's always some cool stuff out there that I want to see. I love about Tulsa is there's some regional companies. I think we met Russell with Primo Targets, did we not? Originally,
yeah, he should be there. Yeah, he should.
Yeah, he is. And
did I tell you he was at a local gun show not too long ago? I tell you,
really, that's cool.
Yeah, he was at a local. Well, I'll say local. I mean, for me, local gun shows an hour away. But yeah, we decided, one weekend it's like, hey, we're just drive up there. We'll eat lunch in town while we're there and mess around, whatever, and we'll go over there to the gun show. Why not? Because some of the dealers, that I'm friends with and stuff like that, FFL dealers were there, and I'm like, well, it gives me a chance to talk to them and see them and whatever. And yeah, I was walking around and there was old Russell from Primo Targets.
Yeah, but it's cool because you're gonna meet people that have these startups that are just breaking into the industry that are probably years away from getting into NRAM or SHOT Show. And so the gun show scene is where they are. And being that Tulsa is the largest gun show in the world, that's where a lot of them, that's their SHOT Show for the year almost, and so I'm always looking around for some cool, innovative companies that are trying to do something a little bit differently and reinvent the wheel a little bit because I like that. So I'm looking forward to seeing what new companies are out there. I've got a couple things in mind for some maybe Christmas presents. for some family members and all that stuff. But yeah, I'm looking forward to. That's where I'm not a collector, and I think most people that know me know that I don't have a huge collection. My collection of everything is probably around 30. I'm not a person that's got hundreds and hundreds of guns. I'm sure as hell not the one that goes and looks for an investment type stuff. If I see something that I want, I'll if I have the money, I'll get it. But most of my stuff is more modern, and Clover is much more into antiques and older and collectible.
You can say the word. You can say the word.
Old shit. Yeah,
I give you permission. Fud.
Well, yeah, fun. I mean, yeah, but I'm just saying more the older stuff. You enjoy that stuff. I'm not someone who's going to go looking for the Mosins or the M1 Grands or anything like that. I'm not that guy. I love them. I respect them. Would I like to have one? Yeah, but I'm not the guy that's going to go look for a collection. But what I love about what you do is you've got a large Marlin collection, and you're always looking for. There's probably only how many? I would say less than 10 Marlins that you probably aren't in your collection. So you're always looking for something like that.
Yeah, maybe about 10 or 12.
I like that. I like that. I wish I had that, but I don't. I've never been that guy, So that's what I love about Wanamaker is no matter what your vice is, no matter what you're there for, it's that big of a show. You can literally find everything. It's like Mr. Wright. He comes up to Wanamaker every year, and one of his things is he needs ammo cans. I don't know why he needs 17 ammo cans every year.
He uses them for like sewage lines or septic tank or something. I don't know.
Every year with like 20 ammo cans of different sizes. So you got to love it.
And he gets the deals on them too, boy. He knows where to go and how to wheel and deal on it. It's crazy.
All right. So now they're just having fun with me. So I'm going to show this text. And it says, made this model of a 200-pound Parrott rifle in high school. Who am I?
Yeah, I can't see it, but my screen's all
so small. I don't know. So there's people out there that are sending me texts now, trying to get me to guess. I haven't had anyone call in yet, so no one's got the balls to call in. So
at least one person before we shut it down.
At least one person. Call the number and we'll put you on air and ask a question. If you want a question, call it. I want to say this. I'm not going to answer a question unless it's called in. The number's right there on the screen, 530-364-4678. Call it and quit being a baby. Let's see here. Let's go back and Mel says he's been Ryan Rick's targets. He's on eBay, but can pick them up locally. Weston's out there. Guitar man, Pete. What up, Pete?
Yeah, Rick does. That's hard target, I think. I guess is he's talking about, right?
User out there says CloverTac. If you're into infields, I need to get you in touch with his brother. He collects and trades them in rare infields and Mosins. So,
yeah, but I'm into the infields that I want at a killer freaking price. I'm not into when you deal with collectors and stuff. Man, that's what you deal with a lot of times. They know what they're worth, and I mean, they want. I'm looking for better than a fair price. I'm going to be honest with you.
Yeah, more than a fair. He's looking to rip somebody off, is what he's.
I don't buy guns. I mean, I got to buy something that I absolutely know that I can flip it and get my money back. Like flip it in a hurry and get my money back. So that's about the only kind of things I buy anymore.
Keith Gregory said at Clover, I just picked up a Henry Big Boy lever action in 44 mag.
Dad has one. My dad's it's weird. I'm a Marlin guy. My dad's a Henry guy. He's got he's got close to every production Henry, modern production, let's say Henry, that's out there. Like if you got the Henry catalog, you know what I mean? Like the 2019, 2020 Henry catalog, he's got just darn near every one of them.
Yeah. Let's see here. I'm going through making sure I didn't miss
anything. I need to take some floodlight pictures of those one day. I haven't really broken those out.
I would be able to bet that you could go and spend you could probably have damn near a full year's worth of FUD Life pictures if you went around and did nothing but take pictures at Wanamaker.
Yeah, the pictures aren't going to be that great. So that kind of sucks. But I mean, if I tag them as, taken at the world's largest gun show, something like that, it could still be kind of cool, I guess. But I'm going to have to do stuff like that with that FUD Life account because, I mean, a gun a day. I mean, think about it. That's a lot of guns.
Have guns.
So got to come up with them somewhere.
That's right. Yeah, I could do one a month and do it for a few years, but that's about it.
Right.
I've been using.
I've been using 2 local gun shops and friends and family, and not just my stuff. So, if I add in some SHOT Show, some NRAM, some Gunathon, some Tulsa, that kind of stuff, then I can keep it going. And eventually, I may even reach out to people. I know there's people that are not on Instagram, right? So I may reach out to people that are out there in the chat. In fact, I'll throw it out right now. I'll tell everybody that's out there. Media@clovertac.com. If you've got something cool, you want to see it on the Bud Life, take a picture, email it to me. If you're not on Instagram, you're not going to do it. So it's not like I'm stealing your thunder. And, I'll give you credit. So send in by a follower or send in by a viewer or something. And, I'll throw it up there. So yeah, all guns are welcome.
I know you said that your dad's a Henry guy. I mean, is that something that you might throw in there? Is take some pictures of your dad's guns or other family members' guns?
I haven't got into my dad's safe yet, but I'm going to. The weather's breaking, and the thing is, he doesn't have. Let me take that back. He does have a lot, but I want to be able. What I'd like to do is I'd like to be able. He's got enough things around the yard and a lot of different things with a lot of backdrop and a lot of places to take pictures. So my thought was to be able to have like a day that I could go up there, open the safe, and like take a picture of everything in this safe, like in a day. Yeah. And then also turn around, put that stuff on a flash drive for him, and give him a copy of it once I did it, because I know he records numbers and things like that, like we all do for insurance purposes, but I don't think he's got pictures of everything. So heck, he may want to share some on social media or put them on his phone just to show friends or something. You never know.
And like you said, those pictures could be, utilized for more than just put them on Instagram. Like you said, they could be for insurance. They could be for cataloging, all sorts of different things. But yeah, it's always good to have pictures of your firearms.
Yep.
Not just to put on Instagram, but and if you do for insurance, just make sure that you get a picture of the serial number and stuff. I mean, that sounds crazy, but
if you don't have it recorded, yeah.
I've got an app on my phone.
I've
got it on paper. I've got it on a computer, hard drive. I've got several places that have all my serial numbers and all that.
Yeah, the app I've got will print. And it's actually on my tablet over there. It's not on my phone, but the app I've got will print too. It'll print it to like a spreadsheet or whatever. It'll export it to a spreadsheet, and then you can print it. So I've got it on the thing. I've got it backed up to a flash drive, and I've got it printed to a hard copy as well. So,
all right. So I want to address a threat out there, and I don't appreciate threats, but I'm going to address it. I try not to really get into this stuff, but I'm going to address it. Guitar Man Pizza's out there says, when y'all go to SHOT Show, he fucking demands more coverage of Bishop ammunition and firearms. I do not cower to threats. So I will say this, Pete, is if you want to demand something, get your ass to Vegas and do it yourself. So no, we'll try to get rid of Bishop, but
I'll get you in. And all you gotta do, I'll get you in.
He's gonna make you do swag day for a day.
Yeah, all you got to do is spend one day out of the 4. All you got to do is spend one day walking around getting patches, and we're good. I'll get you in, man.
Right. No, either one of us get you in. We'd love to have you, man. If you can get to Vegas, let us know when we'll get you there. We'll get you in the doors if you get yourself there. But yeah, that's for real. There are guys out there that I know, and there's plenty of you out there. If you want to get the SHOT Show, you better let me know in the next couple of weeks. But if you can get to Vegas, I'll get you in the door, and I'm sure Clover would too. So I'll get you to range day if you want to go to range day as well. but you got to let me know quickly. So email me or text me or call me or whatever the hell you want to do.
User's got a good one.
Yeah, I was getting ready to go up to that one. I saw that earlier. Go ahead if you want to. He said homeowners only covers like $2,000 for guns or jewelry. What insurance do you all carry to cover your collections? We've talked about this before. I've got my homeowners is through State Farm, and I also use USCCA, and they will kind of pick up on some where the homeowners leaves off. What all do you use?
I've actually got 3 different policies. So there's one that is tied to the contents insurance on the house. It is a rider policy. I couldn't tell you who it was through. It's not through the main company. And then there's a company, all of this, man, I'd have to go pull the paperwork to even tell you the companies, right? Because it's not like a name thing, but I know the other one, is I think there's like 15,000 in coverage on that. And it was through the NRA. The NRA, you know how they send you 8 billion things of mail a month, and one of them was about these insurance policies. So it wasn't through the NRA. It's just the NRA was pimping this insurance company, right?
Yeah.
So, and then there's policy through that. And then I've got another one that come from somewhere. I don't know. I'd have to go pull my paperwork and look, but I don't know. I've got 3. You've got to ask. That's the thing. And then sort of like, you've got to really look around. And then as far as if you're dealing with State Farm or Allstate or anything like that, you really got to know your agent. Calling 800 numbers is not going to do you any good. You really got to have like a local agent. Go in, sit down with them, and say, look, here's the deal. I've got $100,000 worth of guns, whatever it might be, right? Guns and ammunition and other stuff. And I need this protected. They're in the business of selling you insurance. So they'll find you somebody that will sign off on a rider for that.
That is a good point. And it's not just for firearms insurance, but, I use State Farm because my whole family has always been State Farm. So I just kind of did that. But if you're a veteran, check out USAA. I'm actually getting ready to switch over to USAA here in a little while for home and car. And USAA, if you're a veteran and you can get into USAA, they do actually have firearm policies as well. They have the normal homeowners, but they have, if they're good, most insurance companies do. They have like a little menu that you can kind of go a la carte. And yes, will your premium go up a little bit? Absolutely. But there are kind of those a la carte menu items, the side items, if you want to call those off the menu.
I know the ones I do. If you pay for them by the year, you do get a. It's like a 20% discount or something if you just pay for it by the year as opposed to by the month.
But they're not typically included in your typical homeowners homeowners insurance. You're going to have to go talk to them. But like you were saying, the independent insurance dealers are phenomenal because they're not tied to one company. And so they might get you your homeowners with this company. They might get your auto with this one. They might get you some, other stuff, and that's a great thing because they can really go to that competitive open market and find you the best deal.
And I got to be honest. I mean, you've got to, and some people, I mean, I get it. They've only got a few, and that's cool. And by a few, heck, I even like a few dozen. And that's cool, and I get it. You can get a really nice safe. You can put it in a location in your house. You can do, if you don't live just in a crime-ridden neighborhood, right? What are your odds that your house is going to burn down and, everything in the safe is going to be burned? What are the odds somebody's going to break into the safe or steal the safe? What are the odds? What are the odds? So, worry about your secure storage first. Get all that locked down. Even if, and I'll give you a little hint. Even if you just do something in a closet, I mean, no kidding, closet on an outside wall with a couple of deadbolts or something, top and bottom. Especially if your handy woodwork, top and bottom, or 3 deadbolts or something on a door, just in a little closet or something like that. It's nothing to use to use some copper tubing and stuff like that and run a sprinkler system in there, and if you're talking about, 2 or 3, some fire break, some drywall on top of that, really rig that closet out good, and then have a sprinkler system in there on top of it, and it's on an outside wall of your house, then odds are they're going to get wet, but they're not going to get so hot, right, that it really ruins anything, that you start ruining springs and stuff like that. Now, the drawback is you better get them out. You better get them soaked in some oil or something pretty quick if your house was to ever catch on fire and the sprinkler go off. But, it's like that's not that expensive to do.
There,
well, it's a situation that's not that expensive to do.
That's right.
And, the trade-off is going to be the labor should something happen, I mean, if you're talking about having to, pour gallons and gallons of motor oil or something into a vat and dump everything off in it and all that to try to clean them up, if you've got 30 or 40 guns, that's going to suck. But does it suck worse than losing them all?
Not at all. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, so there's always different options. You go spend $1,200 on a really good, like, let's say like a 40 gun safe or something like that. Yeah, they're expensive, but they're also, you're going to bolt onto a concrete floor if you've got that. Most of those high-end safes are going to be fireproof, or at least fire, they're going to take a lot of a beating of a fire. So once again, we're talking about, you can go get something cheap or you can go get something expensive. And you look at, if you have insurance and it's only going to cover X amount of dollars, then maybe a really high-end safe that, has a 40 gun safe or whatever, that might be something useful to you. Maybe that $2,000 price tag is worth saving your weapons, saving your collectibles, saving whatever. So once again, there are so many different options out there. So just do your research,
And another thing with safes too, and most people that have bought safes know this, but it's worth, throwing it out there just for the heck of it. Go considerably larger than however many you've got. And no, I'm not talking about because you're going to buy more firearms. That's not what I'm talking about. Obviously, you need to plan for that maybe. But, you get a 40, 42 gun safe. I mean, nowadays, you're lucky to get 30 in it, realistically. So, if you need something that holds 30, go with a 60 or 64 or something like that.
Yeah, if you're looking to add on, yeah. Exactly.
And plus, I mean, you've got added space because you're going to have family you're going to have important documents, your family heirlooms.
You're also, chances are you're going to have ammo to store in there. You're going to have all sorts of optics and all that. I mean, so it's not just the firearms.
Well, I don't worry about fireproof storage on my ammo and stuff.
Some people would. I'm saying what I'm saying is,
you can.
You have added room. You're going to be able to put stuff in there. You're not going to have open space. Yeah,
sure. Yeah, I don't worry about with like fireproof storage and stuff like that. I really don't worry about magazines. I really don't worry about ammo. I really don't worry about accessories. I just really don't worry about the stuff like that. I mean, the money will cover it, and I'll go out and buy more.
I have all of our marriage certificates, social security cards, birth certificates, all the vital information that are, I don't have like a what do they call those at the bank, the safety deposit box. I use my gun safes. So yeah, I've got stuff. I've got a gun safe that it's a drawer safe, and it's got paperwork and all that, and I keep that drawer safe inside one of my big safes, so it's come with double protected. But yeah, I mean, there's those things are going to work just fine, and like I said, they're fireproof to up to a certain time, and
that's a good point, and that's something that's something I'm glad you brought that up, and it's not really gun related, but when we're talking about whether
every now and then I have moments.
You do. But whether it's the receipts for your firearms, that you're keeping, or, like you said, birth certificates, marriage licenses, paper money, for goodness sake, whatever, anything paper, right? People don't think about, they don't think about the sweat and the condensation and stuff that can build up. They don't think that, okay, that says fireproof, but they're not waterproof.
Correct.
So if they're dumping, like if let's say a tornado hits, right, and rips your roof off, and it dumps water or hours or whatever onto it, or the fire department comes and they're soaking it down for hours or whatever, those papers in there are going to get wet. So at the very least, I'd recommend a Rubbermaid tote, some type of, and a double safe is an even better idea, but something to put your documents and your paper stuff in. That way, that will eliminate that stuff getting wet.
And it's going to sound weird, but I'll tell you exactly what we do is I have, like I said, all of those important documents that they're not, my life is not going to end if something happens to them. It's just going to be a pain in the ass to get them all done, but all of those documents, certificates, social security cards, all of that stuff, I wrap them in a big baggie and then tape it on that so it's waterproofed. Put that inside of, like I said, it's probably a I don't know, a 1 foot by 1 foot, kind of one of those little drawer safes, what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And inside one of those, and then that's on the top shelf of one of my big gun safes. And so, I mean, like I said, if something's going to happen to those things, something bad has happened. And the last thing that I'm going to worry about for the immediate future is that I've got all of that paperwork. Because it's going to take a lot to get through all that. But like I said, just be prepared. I do know some people that they'll have their big 30, 40 gun safes, and they also, inside of it, they'll put one of those kind of like, when you paint and you put that clear stuff on the ground so paint doesn't get on the floor. It's kind of thick. It's like clear trash bags almost. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Okay. They put that over their guns inside the safe. Not that it's going to do a whole lot, but it might help from water getting on them as well. So people
that would help. That would help. It would.
Whatever you want to do.
I don't think
direct water, but not from
condensation stuff. Yeah.
Condensation. Yeah.
But yeah, absolutely, it would help with any kind of direct water.
Got a super chat out there from Mandatory Carry, $10. Thank you, brother. At work, thank God for liked videos. November logout. P.S. Can you recommend an attorney? What kind of attorney are you want to recommend? Are you talking about a 2A attorney? If so, then I think everyone here will say that Joshua Prince up in Pennsylvania is about as good as there is.
Yep.
And he's a hell of a guy on top of that. So, and I know Joshua has licenses to practice in many, many other states, not just Pennsylvania. But I would say that people say Adam Kraut. Sure, Adam Kraut, I think is more. I don't know if he's more of a. I don't know what his speciality is. I don't know what he specializes in. So, but I don't think. I think Maj uses Joshua Prince. There are a lot of people that I knew that use Sarah. I would say that if Maj trusts Josh Prince, I might look at that. But yeah, Joshua Prince up in Pennsylvania is wonderful, from what I understand. I never had to use them, thank God, and I hope I never do. But I know that if I needed a firearms or 2A attorney, he's my first call for sure. Do you know anyone that you would recommend?
That would be my go-to. If you're talking about 2A stuff, if you're talking about other stuff, sometimes finding local people is the best.
Oh yeah, especially someone in your state that knows your regulations and laws and all of that.
Yep.
So I hope everything's okay, buddy. And
talking family law, criminal law.
Yeah, I mean, and there's so many different types of law, but I'm hoping that you're just asking for generalities about an attorney. If you need an attorney for something seriously, give me a call. My number's on the screen. Give me a call. And I mean, I know people all over the country. So if I don't know someone, I know someone that probably does know a specific type of attorney. So if you
now, Idaho Rogers out there is saying Alex Kincaid in Idaho is a 2A attorney, and I've heard of her. So I've never met her or anything, and I know absolutely nothing about her. But I heard,
Yeah. I've heard of the AK show. So, and I didn't know her name, but yes, I know who you're talking about when you said the AK show. Yes.
Yep.
I didn't know her name. I just knew her as AK. Let's see here. Any other? Let's get another text.
User's telling you now that he texted you.
User.
He texted you a link. I don't know how you're gonna post a link that he texted, but a recall on a Black Hawk holster. That's interesting.
Black Hawk holster recall. Interesting.
Don't see holster recall very much.
I'll have to. I'm not going to put that link out there until I actually look at it. No offense, user, but I'm going to look at it once the show's over, and then if need be, I'll spread it everywhere that I can.
Says here, Consumer Product Safety Commission reports that a voluntary recall has been issued by the maker of a gun holster. Blackhawk T-Series L2C gun holsters are specifically being recalled due to a design flaw. The holster can change the position of the safety switch on a firearm without the user knowing it. So,
what?
Yeah, you might want to send that one back. That's the T-Series L2C holster.
Very interesting.
I don't buy it, but okay. I really don't buy it. It can change the position of the safety switch without the user knowing it. So that would have to be going in. That would have to be going in, and the way that you're gripping it or whatever when you're reholstering or something with it. It's got to be. There's no way it does anything while it's. I don't think while you're wearing it. You're not touching it, surely. So,
well, I mean, and I would have to imagine, and I might be very naive, but isn't that something that they should have? I mean, they do extensive testing, isn't that something you would think would have gotten caught early?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's probably a situation where, they could have molded it a little bit differently, and they just didn't, and they never had an issue. And probably there's some people that are holstering it a weird way or something. So it's a voluntary recall. So all it is somebody reholstered, and whatever method they were using or whatever, it tripped it, and they complained, and then the next thing you know, they probably said something on social media. Here's the bad thing about social media, right? They probably put it out on social media, and then 5, 6, 8, 10, whatever other people, whoa, I've got the same thing. It's taking the safety off, so they had to issue a voluntary recall. I mean, how many will they actually get back? Most people that probably own them, I would wager. Most people that probably own them or never have a problem and probably will never send them back.
And if they do have the problem, they probably, and like I said, they probably are going to sit there and say, I'll just go buy another holster. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I've got literally like drawers full of holsters. I'll just go buy another holster,
Now, Guitar Bad Pete out there says, this 2019, if your gun has a safety, grow up.
There are some people that enjoy safeties. My daughter is one of them. She doesn't carry on her hip a whole lot because of work and all of that. She carries in her backpack. And I think for her, having a safety on, even though it's holstered, I think having a safety is just added mental protection for her. And once again, a safety is not a big thing, and people shame safeties all the time. But if someone feels, I would much rather have someone carrying with a safety on than not carrying because they don't like safeties. I would much rather someone feel comfortable. And as long as you practice that extra half a second to flip the safety, as you're practicing that every time you go to the range, then it's okay. Some people like safeties, and that's okay. Like I said, I'd much rather have them carrying with a safety that makes them feel comfortable. Then I'm not going to shame my daughter and tell her that she needs to grow up and man up because she likes safeties on her guns. I'm not going to do that. I'm just happy that she carries.
Yeah. Yeah, everybody has their preferences, Yep. But yeah, for off body carry, especially, I mean, manual safety is going to be where it's at, really. Manual safety or revolver.
Yeah, and that's something that, honestly, being my daughter, as most people know, she's not going to have experience with a revolver because I don't have one. So,
You know, and user out there, I mean, even Guitar Man Pete and user, they were talking about 1911s. How many people carry a 1911 locked and cocked? Because I'm going to tell you this, I've seen a ton of people in Texas, open carry or whatever, with 1911s, and I'm looking, and they're not locked and cocked. They're not even, their hammer's down. So they're going to have to fan the hammer when they pull anyway.
Right.
So,
and it's Pete, they just being as smart like I know you are. I'm not getting onto you, but that is something that goes on all the time in discussions. Is, I'm not going to buy that gun because of safety. Then don't buy the gun, but don't shame some. I'm not saying you, Pete, but in general, don't shame someone because they like safeties. It's just like the AR versus AK or 9mm versus 45 or whatever. I mean, it's just, everyone's got their preferences, like you said. And I would much rather someone go buy a gun and carry every day with whatever they feel comfortable with than not go buy a gun because they don't feel comfortable or they're shamed into buying something that they're not comfortable with, which means they won't carry anyways because they're not comfortable with it. So it is what it is. Yeah. Let's see here. Well, it's 10. Damn, I didn't realize it was already 8:40.
hour and a half or so. Yeah.
Yeah, had no idea. The discussion's been great. Let's kind of start closing down. And what do you want to plug? Excuse me. What do you want to plug?
I don't know. I filmed all day today. So
good for you. I can't go film on Thursday.
So, yeah, I've got to edit some of that stuff. That's going to take time. I got to produce. I got to do other things. But yeah, I got some review stuff coming. So look for the videos. Look for the written views on over on Gear Dash Report. Excuse me. Got to remember the dash in there. But yeah, hopefully over the next week I can get a couple more days of solid filming in, and yeah, get out from under some of this backlog I got, and then go to Tulsa and SHOT Show and create another backlog, I guess, right?
The backlog is real, my friend. It is so real with me. Goodness gracious. I do want to plug something that is going on over at ammoland.com. There is an article that John Crump did about a sheriff that has been very vocal about being against and will not enforce red flag laws. The great thing about that is you guys will recognize them. It is my local sheriff, Chris Brown, here in Arkansas. He's been on the show half a dozen times. Chris knows him. And he's a wonderful, wonderful law enforcement officer. He's a wonderful person, great man, great family man. And he is being extremely vocal, and he is a very pro 2A sheriff. And he's making national headlines now. He's been on several national stuff that are at AMOLand did an article. John did an article with him. And it's so funny because I think it was maybe on After Hours last week or maybe even in the after chat. John was like, hey, I did an article with a sheriff. I think that he's been on your show before. And I was like, yeah, he's actually one of my good friends. My local sheriff, literally. And so I put the link out there, and it's a great article and all that. So go check that out. I do want to do a plug for kind of a sponsor of coming up. It's going to be a sponsor of the show, but you guys all know that I am completely OCD when it comes to cleaning my guns. So if you guys are looking for a nice gun cleaning and lube solution, go check out Rob and Shelly Gates' company, the guncleaners.com. They are phenomenal. They're down in Texas. They're great people. We've all hung out with them. We spent a weekend with them down there at Charlie's place. Phenomenal people, and their product is absolutely legit. So if you guys are looking for great solvent or lube, it's American made. It's LEO owned. Go check out the guncleaners.com and you guys will, thank us for it later. But that's good stuff right there. And the second thing I want to do, I'm starting to do a plug, and I'm taking a kind of the lead from Tony Simon and Tony on maybe one of G's workshops that we were all on. kind of start, challenging. Let's start sharing everybody's stuff. And so I put a post out on Instagram maybe last week about different podcasts, and there's hundreds of 2A podcasts that are phenomenal, probably thousands that are wonderful. But I want to kind of go through a list of some of the ones that I personally listen to, and they're friends of mine that are phenomenal, and they go through the entire spectrum of the 2A community. You've got the 2A is for everyone with Tony Simon, Gun Freedom Radio with Cheryl Todd, Riding Shotgun with Charlie by Charlie Cook, that Clover was on at GRPC. He's got an episode of Riding Shotgun with Charlie. To the Republic podcast is a new podcast that's hosted by a dear friend of Clover's and mine, Timothy Knight, and then Rebecca Schmoe are the two co-hosts, but Tim decided he wanted to start a podcast. Obviously, Black Man with a Gun with the Reverend Ken Blanchard was kind of like the godfather of 2A podcasts. Then a good friend of mine that was supposed to be on the show tonight, and something came up, but Riley Bowman with Concealed Carry podcast. It's wonderful. You got the Leprechaun over here. He's got several podcasts. You got the Next Generation. He's got Firearm Friday and the After Hours podcast. And obviously the new podcast to the crew is the Michael Cedini podcast with our good friend Michael Cedini. Once again, I'm leaving other people out, but there's some great ones out there. But those are ones that are friends of ours, friends of mine, friends of Clover's, that we know them personally. We've met them. We've shook their hand. We know they're real people. And on top of that, they're doing some great work. So please go check out, if you like podcasts and you're in the arena of driving quite a bit, or you just like to, what's up, WB, that you like podcasts, go check them all out. And let them know that Clover and I sent you over there. It helps a lot.
That's a good idea that you've come up with. Y'all come up with plugging other podcasts and stuff. I think I may start recording little intros to all of my videos from these different people that have these other podcasts, and I may start putting those before all my videos. What do you think about that?
I think that the biggest thing that we can do is pat you on the back, because you have sold yourself to the devil about a year ago when you start doing all this bullshit.
You're welcome. You're welcome, Internet.
Yeah, you're welcome, Internet. But no, it is. And there are some great podcasts. And if you're out there and you listen to other podcasts, post them on Facebook or on Instagram or somewhere else, and let other people know that we're missing out on some great I know G, man, I would say all the time he's sending texts about different podcasts that he comes across and all of that. And so there's other people out there that we haven't even discussed that I don't even know about. So if you know of other podcasts or all that, well, please let me know. I love it.
Well, this I'm gonna I know you're trying to get out of here, but
no. I'll go if we can, man.
I just thought about something, right?
Sure.
And especially 2020, where 2020 election cycle's coming up, and I've talked about this. We're on the same page. I mean, it's like you talked about with your sheriff Chris there. We've got to have good sheriffs across this country. That is our, that is going to be our bulletproof vest. That's going to be the people that protect us while we fight to, keep anti-gun legislation from coming around, while we fight to roll back farm, regulations and stuff like that, and while we try to remove higher level yahoos from office. All right, those people are our shields, and so we've got to put those in. And to that avail, I mean, I'm working now trying to get the candidates for my local sheriff to come on Firearm Friday and not talk about abortion, not talk about budgets, not talk about crap like that, but talk about 2A. I want to hit them up, give them the hard questions and say, hey, red flag laws, what are you going to do? Universal background checks, what are you going to do? Assault weapons bans, what are you going to do? That type of stuff, and get their stance. What does the Second Amendment mean to you? Are you willing to, uphold your oath and protect us when it comes to those powers that be that want to strip us of our rights? And hopefully I can get all of those candidates on the podcast. Now, I'm going to be trying to push that out locally, obviously through my personal social media channels and stuff like that. But the thing about it with being able to put that out on the Firearm Friday podcast too is hopefully to inspire other people. You guys can do this too, right? Get those candidates and say, hey, let's go down the road, let's go out to eat. And then once we're done, give me 30 minutes to do a little interview with you. Right. And then throw that on your social media, man. Get those good candidates some exposure. Get the bad candidates exposure too. You know what I'm saying? Don't just restrict it to the ones that might be good and are good 2A. But if you don't know, or if you suspect that they're maybe a little bit anti 2A, befriend them enough to do that too. Say, hey, let's do a little interview and ask the hard questions and put that crap out on social media. That way people know that this guy's a little bit shaky and a little bit shady when it comes to 2A. So, we might ought to vote for the other candidate instead of this guy. So that, we hold a lot of power with the internet and this idea of the citizen journalist, right? That's what catapulted this country into greatness. That's what helped us break free from
was the first social media guy.
Right. That's what helped us, break free from, the tyrants that we broke free from in 1776 was literally citizen journalists. Right. So I think we're getting back in this country and with the power of the internet, I think we're getting back into that role now. And we're starting to social media and that kind of stuff is still in its infancy. And I think we're all kind of learning it as we go along and getting a little better at it and stuff like that. But I do think that, we're starting to learn to harness that power. And one of the ways we can do that, like I said, is use that to support and shed light on those local elections that affect you the most. And I'm sorry, I didn't mean to take up a ton of your time, but
oh hell no, you're fine. No, like I said, I could we talk for hours.
Right.
And we always, people don't realize we're pretty damn profound. There's a lot of shit that we talk about late at night that
we never remember it. We go to bed and it's gone.
It's kind of like The Circle in that 70s show. They never can remember a damn thing. Right. We don't record that stuff. We really should record that stuff.
It's this car that runs on water, man.
Runs on water, man.
Got a fiberglass engine and it runs on water.
Oh hell, I'm still getting texts.
Nice. They're probably saying, "Get off the air."
So I just got a text from Chris.
Oh, nice.
He said, in case you didn't already know, you've made the big time. This was a comment on the Gunners of America page where they said something about an interview that I did. Proud to know you and thanks for what you're doing. So that's from Chris Brown, my sheriff. He sent me a text that I've made it on the GOA website because of the initial. So, my thing about that is Chris is doing what a lot of other sheriffs are probably thinking, but he has been very vocal about it. And I think that Chris will even tell you that he didn't think that this was going to be this big media thing. He was just speaking his mind and his beliefs. And I think the reason why it has hit such big time national level with him is he's speaking out publicly about it. I don't think he's the only sheriff in the country that won't do that, and he's definitely not the first that's thought of it. But I think that maybe if Chris is kind of been the trailblazer, that maybe others will come out and not just announce they're not going to or say they're not going to, but actually, speak at rallies and speak very publicly and candidly about his love for the Second Amendment of the Constitution. So, like I said, Chris is a great person, a great friend. And I'm glad that he has been given a pedestal a little bit here to talk about 2A as a law enforcement officer, because we all know that law enforcement officers, some of it's very justified, but sometimes they get a lot of heat on them. But remember, a sheriff is an elected official, so that'll kind of bring it back around to what Clover was saying. Find out, what your local politics scene is try to make sure that the justice of the peace, the city councilman, obviously the sheriffs, most police chiefs are appointed, but there are some police chiefs that are still elected official. If you've got that area, make sure that at the local level, the politicians in these next primaries and the elections are going to be the ones that line up with you.
With your police chiefs, the buck stops with your city council and your mayor, and those are elected.
That's right. because they're going to appoint him. Now, Guitar Man Pete says, please reply to him that he has people in his corner from Texas. Chris and I talk. He knows. He knows that he's got support. But yeah, there was. Yeah, so I'm really proud for Chris. I'm glad to know him. I'm glad to people. I don't know, people. Very few people saw it, so I know there wasn't that many. But the very first live that I ever did, episode number 1, was Chris Brown, and he came into my office and we actually shared a camera because I hadn't even figured out how to do it on the internet yet. So with him with Hangout, so he literally was in my office and we sat together next to each other. We talked about concealed carry and the process of how to get your license and different rules and regulations of all that. But yeah, Chris was on the very first episode number 1 of the live stream. So he and I. He's been here with me literally since day 1. So I'm glad, I'm proud that Chris has gotten the notoriety that he deserves. And hopefully this allows other sheriffs and other people to force their sheriffs to speak out publicly about different anti-gun laws. Let's see here. Pete says, Clover, I got to see Mr. Winfrey tonight.
Yeah, he's a local guy. I bought several firearms from him. He's also, which is kind of interesting. He's kind of like Winfrey is to me, sort of like Buck is to you, I guess, in a way. It's kind of interesting. He's local to me. He's a patron. I mean, he watches, supports.
He's right there, yeah.
And of course, Pete does too. Pete's another one. So I've got several local that. I think the newest patron that I picked up, I think he's kind of local as well. So it's interesting that dynamic is working.
Yeah, they Buck lives about 30 minutes from me, and he comes out. We shoot quite a bit at the range together, and he actually just joined my range last month or a couple months ago. He actually became a member of our shooting club. So but Buck's good, and it's kind of cool how you meet people that I didn't know. I mean, I've lived here for 18 years. I had no idea about Buck until a couple years ago. We started this journey of the PewTube, but it's kind of cool who you meet and who some of your friends. I mean, obviously Clover and I didn't know each other until a couple years ago. So now he's one of my best friends in this world. So it's just one of those things where there's a lot of bad about the YouTube game, the social media, and a lot of it, but there's some really good stuff about it. There's really honest and really awesome people, and you don't have to always agree on everything, and actually disagreeing is where the great conversation takes place. But it's nice to know that there are people out there that are just good people, and I love meeting people from YouTube, and I think what was it last year at NRAM, we had a bunch of people that were there. I mean, A&A was there. We had there was a bunch of people that you got to meet for the first time and shake their hands, and that was Ozzy was there, Squib was there, obviously there was other people that I already met before, but there was a lot of people that were just happened to be there for the day, and you got to put a face and shake their hand and give them a hug and all that stuff. But it's really cool. This community is, even though we have our differences and sometimes we don't always get along, it's a really cool, pretty tight, community when it needs to be.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So I guess it's almost been 2 hours. Unless you have anything else you want to talk, if there are no more questions, if you got a question, go ahead and put it out there or call us. We'd like to put you on air and ask your question on air. The phone number is right there on the screen. So if you don't, guys, we don't get any more questions here in the next minute, we're going to start to
everybody checking out.
Everyone chicken out. No one's man enough or woman enough to make that phone call. They don't want anyone to hear their voice on air, and they're not gonna. It's not a camera. It's just call the phone number. You can talk on your phone, and we're not gonna put you on camera and all that. You're not even gonna be on the screen. We're gonna hear your voice over the interwebs. But man, it just seems like no one's got the cojones to do it. So it's all good.
That's fine.
So yeah, we're gonna go ahead and jump out, and thanks everyone for watching. Please spread the information about Ammo Land's thing, and contact your local sheriff and ask them what they truly feel, and follow Clover's lead, especially here in the next few months. Please go out there and find your candidates and be a citizen reporter. Go ahead and put your candidate. This is as good as time as ever to start turning your cameras on and being part of the solution. And sometimes maybe starting at the local level and talk to your candidates and see what they feel, and ask the tough questions. Don't just lob softballs. Go ahead and ask them the tough questions, because you should be able to tell right away if you surprise them with a question and they don't really know how to answer it, then I'd be skeptical. Someone who is solidified in their beliefs, no matter what kind of surprising question you ask them, they should be able to answer that pretty quickly if that's their true belief. So go challenge them and let's see what they say in the public and all that. So, but anyways, yeah, anything else you want to close with?
I think I'm good. Go eat some dinner now, I think.
Well, that sounds good too. But yeah, thanks guys for always watching, and we'll see you soon. Semper Fi.
Peace.